Hey, 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 what's up, everybody? Today's guest is a powerhouse of purpose and a walking example of resilience and authenticity. Please, she is a dynamic speaker, educator, and a leader who has shattered stereotypes and broken through barriers from an early age. She is a dynamic speaker. And I was about to repeat myself again. Her story goes far beyond titles. She's faced childhood trauma, worked through bias, and the string of being, excuse me, and the sting of being misunderstood. I'm getting over laryngitis, forgive me, being misunderstood even by those closest to her. And yet she chose not to conform. Instead, she created her own path and now empowers others to do the same. Her current book, My Soul is Not for Sale, you know I love that title, is a bold call to to live free from lies, labels, and limitations. She is the first African American Miss Austin, Texas. Okay. Her mantra is live an audaciously authentic life. And today, she's here to show us how. I need you to please put your hands together and welcome Dr. Nicole D. Bradford. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. We're so excited to have you with us. I can't tell you. I love hearing people's stories, and my show really is trying to always stay to encourage others, inspire, motivate, activate. Because so much going on in the world that we have to. Um, if we can bring light and information that helps us make better choices, I think that's the way to go for me
Yes.
anyway. So
Yes.
we appreciate you. So can you give our viewers a quick, I guess the short version paragraph of who, like a quick background of Dr.
Mhm.
Nicole before the success?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I am originally from Austin, Texas, and born and raised. I'm the youngest of six children. My mother and father grew up very humble beginnings. They weren't able to finish or get a high school diploma, but they were very, very successful. They taught us the importance of hard work,
Mhm.
loving ourselves, and being involved and supporting as a family. I went to school at Grambling State University in Grambling, Louisiana. I finished my bachelor's and master's degree there. And then from there, I went to Texas Southern University, where I completed my doctoral degree in higher education administration. And so I started off my career on the collegiate campus and being a first generation college student. I transitioned into the public school area where I
Mhm.
worked from K through 12th grade. So I've been a teacher. I've also been an assistant principal. And on the collegiate level, I've been a staff member. I've been a professor and assistant dean. And the last position was vice president of student services. And so I'm excited about the opportunity to connect with others, be able to share my journey, share my trials and tribulations to help others design the life that they desire.
Wow, wow, amazing background. You have so many things. Now, you've overcome so many labels. What was the very first label someone gave you that you consciously decided to reject? And how did that moment shape your mindset?
I think that was early on in my life when I was told, you will never really amount to anything because if you look around me, being in a family environment where no one went to college, and then my siblings, some of them became parents very early on during their high school years. And so a lot of people tend to judge you from where you are, your family environment. And
Mhm.
so I was able to overcome that. I rejected that notion. School
Mm.
was very difficult for me, but I was was very persistent. And I share that a lot with all of my students. It was just something that I would refuse to give up on. And
Mm,
where I believe that tenacious spirit came from, because I held on to that dream. And I don't care what you say or what you do, I'm going to keep moving forward until
mm,
I'm able to make that dream a reality. And so I
mm,
had to reject that label and say for myself, this is something that I want for myself. I'm going to pursue it. And I was able to make that a reality.
you sure did. Wow. Was there ever a time that you almost gave in? Like where the sale, the sale of your soul felt tempting. Like what pulled you back to your truth?
Well, that for me, a lot came alive at my college during my college time, because during college, it's cool to fit in, and everyone
Mm,
it wants other people to like them. But it was just
mm,
something on the inside. And I think we're all born with that gift and that spirit on the inside that said, Nicole, you won't settle. I
mm,
refuse to settle. So it's
mm,
okay if people reject me. It's okay if I can't be in the in crowd, but I'm going to do what makes me feel comfortable. So going to different parties and seeing things that other people chose to participate in, that was something that I chose not to do, because it was very difficult for me, coming from the family environment where I've had individuals go in and out the criminal justice system. That is not something that I wanted to be a part of. And so I
mm,
had to stand for myself, my values, and stand on my truth.
Do you think it's has something to do with well, how did being the youngest of six siblings, prepare you for your leadership role at a young age? Do you think that has something to do with it? Like even after others doubted your readiness, I think something about siblings, no matter what the situation is, oh, they're preparing you.
Oh, most definitely. Now, to tell the truth, I'm not here this year. I'm the youngest of six, but my first part of my siblings, my mother had stair step. So they're like 65, 64, 63, 62.
Ah,
And then
right.
she had a sister, and I'm an oops baby. She thought she was done having children. And so I just appeared on the scene. And so
Aren't you a fabulous oops?
I no, so my sister and I, we grew up together, and we're 5 years apart. And that she did teach me a lot about resiliency, because she was very tough on me, and we were able to grow closer as we became adults. But as our childhood, it was a tough experience. But yes, I think that had a lot with teaching me that you have to be okay with who you are.
Wow. Yeah, no, you definitely do. But how did you well, you kind of said that, but like because I know a lot of people who are children in domestic violence or who were adults in domestic violence. How did you shield your brain? Was it the part you said about, I just told myself I'm going to do this and that's how it is? Do you think that I don't know, I can't explain it like I think some people have that extra mental grit. I'll call it mental
Yeah.
grit is what Angela Duckworth coined it as something else, grit, but I
Mhm.
call it as that. Just I'm going to get this done, no matter what you do to me, no matter what you say. What do you think? I don't know.
For me, it was my belief that after going to counseling and therapy and understanding, it doesn't matter where you start. And that's where
Mm,
I used to connect with a lot of students and individuals that I work with one-on-one. Life is going to give you all type of scenarios, and it's how you respond to those scenarios. And yes, I didn't grow up in the best environment, watching and being a witness to domestic violence for two people that I loved greatly, but I had to understand that throughout that, I can learn that that's not something I have to accept for my life. And I have to understand that it's very important that I set up my boundaries to establish what Nicole deserves. And
mm,
so that made me stronger in seeing that and making that understanding that that is not something that I'm going to tolerate in my life.
fabulous. Now you work with the disfranchised, but what was the moment in your life where you felt completely disfranchised, and what helped you rise again? Like what helped you get out of that rut? Because I can't imagine. I've been through things as a mother, as a foster kid, whatever. And people ask me. For me, it was God, but I mean, some people have
Yes.
other ways they got out. What is it? Do you think? that made
That
you?
has always been my foundation and my strength. I was raised in the church, there from sunup to sundown, all the services and all the activities on the weekend. But that was my foundation that kept me anchored to let me
Mm,
know that I've placed a gift on the inside of you. It doesn't matter what people say about you. And I think that's why I came up with the company name Maintain the Flame. Because when
that's
you're
awesome.
younger, you have all this excitement and enthusiasm for life. You're going around, you don't care what people say, you don't care what you wear, you're enjoying life to the fullest. You don't have bills, you don't have
No.
problems, you don't have stress. You're just a child enjoying life. But then you
Mm,
transition into the real world, and then you're either going into, the adulthood on your job, or you're going into your in-laws where they have expectations of you. And then you
mhm,
have to decide, am I going to conform to what the job wants me to do, or what
mm,
others around me want to do? Or am I going to decide what's best for myself and live in my truth? And that's so important for us. We have to maintain our flame for life, because so many times we allow our situations to dwindle our flame. We allow
mhm.
people around us to
Yeah.
take away from us and tell us, that this is not good enough. One of my
Mhm,
favorite movies I always watch is Meet the Fockers, and how
mm,
he talks about on Meet the Fockers, you're not
mhm,
in the in circle. And so he draws a dot, and you're not in the in circle. And so
mm.
that's how a lot of people feel rejected, because you have to live a certain way and speak
Yeah.
a certain way to be accepted by us. But sometimes you
Mm,
have to be okay with yourself saying, that's totally fine. I don't need to be in your in circle, because
mhm.
I'm good enough to stand on my own.
That is so crazy that I just talked to someone about that topic today, and I've never met her before. She's from Germany. I never met her before. It wasn't planned, but that's the topic that she led me to. And I told her, I hope you watch my show today because you're going to think I planned this, and I swear I did. But this is a
Yes.
theme, so that's telling me that the universe put me on the right path and led me to you also. So thank you, because I'm a firm believer in things line up for a reason. You know,
Oh, that's right. Yes.
yeah, you have to stand in your truth and know what that is. A, and be okay with that, no matter how big or small
That's
it appears to be. Yeah, because it's all you have.
yes.
You know, you can't be. I can't be Oprah. I can't be whoever. You know, I have to only be Tanya.
Mhm.
That's it. And that may
That's
be Tanya the janitor, or Tanya the principal, or Tanya the lawyer. It may be whatever, but I have to be
yes.
okay to literally sit in that, because that you
Mhm.
can't
Yeah.
go anywhere if nobody else can appreciate you or value you if you can't value yourself.
Exactly. And I always say, for those that are out there, especially as parents and different individuals, we're always busy advocating for someone else. If we see
Mm,
something going on, we'll for children, and we'll be there for our babies and for everyone else. But we look at ourselves, and when we're in situations, we tend to doubt those situations. But that strong advocate that you can be for everyone else, it's time for you to take that power back and be that advocate for yourself, even though
yes.
if it takes making small little changes a little bit at a time, so that you're
Mm,
proud of who you have become. Yes, you're
mm,
going to have flaws. There's no perfect person that has walked on this earth but Jesus Christ. So we have to understand, we have to find the good in the situations that we encounter and be able to move forward and grow.
yes, absolutely. Wow. And now if your younger self could give advice to a young girl watching today, or a young boy or young mother, anybody who's
Mhm.
in the height of domestic violence right now, because that's a big thing. And it's
Yes.
going to get just worse because we got Proud Boys. I believe they're, in my opinion, those are the ones that are that can be in that echelon
Mhm.
of the type of people that would do something of such thing to women and children. But what advice? That's just my opinion. That is not necessarily a
Yes.
fact. Okay, so that was just Tanya. So if your younger self could give advice to those people right now that are in the height of it right now,
Mhm.
um, what would you say, and what would you say to anyone facing domestic violence right now?
The advice that I would give to parents or individuals that's going on that are experiencing relationships, look at the red flags because they're going to present themselves, and be
Mm,
able to address those immediately. Because if
mm,
you don't address those immediately, then you're going to stay in a situation longer than you should. And for
mm,
those of you that may have been in a situation, we need to understand that we have babies around us. And if you're a parent, always take time to look at the young people that are around you. They are not listening to what you're saying, they're picking up on what you're doing. So you can
mm,
tell your son or daughter or cousin, niece or nephew or family friend, don't accept that. You should never go through that. But then
mm,
they're looking at you and they see how you allow people to speak to you. They see
mm,
how you accept things that don't serve you. And so
mm,
they're not listening to your information you're sharing. They're
mm.
watching you and saying, I don't think she's really telling me the truth. What she's
Right.
saying with her action is it's okay to be disrespected. It's
Mm,
okay to be put down. It's okay for someone to put their hands on you. So
mm,
my advice would be you need to understand that you have the power and the courage to step out and to grow from this experience, to love yourself. Loving
mm,
yourself is the first part of it. And if you
yeah,
love yourself enough, you will walk away from things that no longer serve you. So
mm,
evaluate the situation, look at those red flags, see how it's not only affecting you, but affecting those around you, and be able to take those courageous steps that are necessary to have the life that you deserve.
mm, Wow. Well, thank you. I'm sure someone's listening to that. You teach people to protect their time. What's the one thing you had to stop doing, even though it felt good or familiar, because it
Mhm.
stole too much of your time or energy?
When I started off in my career, of course, being on the collegiate level and wanting to do great for everyone, because at one point in time I was a people pleaser. And so I wanted to do a great job for them, but I was a young mother. And I
Mm,
had to understand I can't dedicate all this time to you and be there for you and not show up for my babies. So
mm,
I had to tell them early on, I can do this project, but
right.
on this particular day, I'm not going to be able to come in. I have to go to a football game. I have to go to a track meet. I have to go to a back to school meeting, because so many times it's easier for us to put our family members to the side and, oh,
Mm,
she's young, she won't remember it, or, oh, he's older now, he really doesn't need me there. But
mm,
those babies understand and they need you more than you realize. And so they need us to show up. And so
yes.
protecting your time is very important, and setting up those expectations with those around you that I'm going to give you 150% while I'm here. But outside of that, if it's some requirements or engagements for my family, I have to put that first.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I think those memories are very important too, because I think about when I was younger and certain things, like none of my games I would have, like, I think, well, I call him my god brother, and one of my brothers would come, but I never forgot that when someone's not there, it really, you never forget it. It's
Yes.
like you
Hmm.
never it's like you try to, but it's something you never forget, and you do remember when people are there. You remember that.
Exactly.
So it's important to create those memories, especially when they're young. It's so crucial, and it gives confidence. Like
Yeah.
there's tons of reasons I can think of why that's important. So
And
thank you
that's
for
the
that.
same as for our adulthood. We have adult friends that we show up for all the
Yeah,
time. We're exhausted. We have things going on in our life, but we make it a priority to be there for them. But then when
right,
you need them, they're nowhere around. So you
right.
have to prioritize yourself. You have to look at the big picture of the situation. You have to understand that, I'm going to protect my time. I know what's
Mm,
important. And for our friends, I'm going to show up for you, and they won't
mm,
remember, they won't forget that, and they'll understand that you have put them as a priority in your life.
right. Yeah, the priority part is so crucial,
Yeah.
and especially after coming through certain things. Like, sometimes, well, most families go through something, but that's why it's more important for each person to play their role and be supportive when they can, because now with all the drama going on, the trauma, at least
Mhm.
if that's in place, at least we have a net of some sort as children, but you don't have no net if you have no, you have drama and trauma going on. You have no net. No one comes and supports you. you're just
Mhm.
leading them right to gangs and to other stuff, and
Correct.
not feeling good about themselves. You're just not. There's a lot to that. But being there and being supportive when you can is so important. And when I had my kids, I chose that's what I'm going to do. Even though I became a single parent, and happily, I would have no problems. I'm not complaining.
Mhm.
But I'm going to the game. Like no
That's
matter what,
right.
I'm going to the game because somebody's got to show up to the game, right? So
Yes, yes.
yeah, they cannot say as adults, my mom was never there. Oh no, mama was there, there, there. Okay, at all everybody else's expense, I was there
That's
because I
right.
know you can't get that back. You can't,
Mm-mm.
So thank you. I appreciate that. So there's a moment in everyone's journey where success can feel kind of lonely. What's been your most lonely win, and how did you push through it?
I think my most lonely win for me is moving up into leadership. In the
Mm,
leadership role, that can be very lonely as a supervisor because a lot of people don't really want to be around you because you have to make the tough decisions, or you may have to change policies or procedures, or you may have to let someone go that was a popular person on the team and people don't like that about you. But you have to understand that I've looked at the policies and procedures, I've looked at all the facts surrounding the situation, and I made the best decision that was possible at that moment. And you
mm,
can't be so hard on yourself. And I
right.
think leadership can be lonely, but it's
Mhm,
very important to be able to see and hear your employees, be able to connect with them, and
mhm,
understand that we're all just traveling on a journey and we need support and we need to be recognized and we need to be valued.
mm. Wow. Wow. Excuse me. In your upcoming book, you talk about lies we believe. What's the most dangerous lie that high achieving women still believe today?
The most dangerous lie is that you can't do it and that there's a ceiling for where you can go. And that's most definitely a lie. But sometimes the lies, the labels, and the limitations, it doesn't always come from others. Sometimes we place those lies and limitations on ourselves. So we
Yeah.
must be in a position where we're able to look at a situation, be realistic about the things that are going on in our life, and then make the necessary steps to change that. And in the book, I talk about biases in the building. And a lot
Hmm.
of people think that biases, on the weekend, I can go and I listen to certain music, I vote a certain way, I believe a certain way. And I think people are naive to think that we don't carry those biases with us into our workplace. And
Mm,
that affects the way that we interact with others. So it's very important that we're willing to be honest about our beliefs and the way that we think and be able to grow and learn so we can have a culture, a work culture that is sensitive to the needs of all employees. And I think
mm,
that's essential. And if we don't do the necessary training on that, we'll continue to have the issues in our workplaces that cause problems for others. And in
mm,
the book, I also talk about being able to heal from trauma. I use the flush method. So I
mm,
talked to you a little bit at the beginning. I'm the youngest of six. My sister Felicia was number five. She's passed on, but she used to always tell me whenever I go through something, Nicole, I want you to go to the restroom and get a thing of toilet tissue. You don't necessarily have to do that part, but I want you to write down everything that you're dealing with, the challenges that you're facing. Write those challenges down. And I want you to, number one, talk about the pros and cons of the situation. But the most important part is I want you to write down your role in the situation and how
mm,
you can grow from that. And
mm,
once you do that, you need to ball it up and you need to toss it. Flush
mm,
means face life uncomfortable situations so you can heal. If we're not ready to face those situations head on, then we're
mhm,
not going to be able to grow from them. So
mm,
facing life's uncomfortable situations so that you can heal. That's the flesh method.
the flesh method. Wow. That's very interesting. So someone just asked a question, and I think I'll interrupt so that way we'll be on topic. So someone asked Sophia, hi Sophia, what do you recommend people do to recognize what biases they have?
Well, you need to look at the situation or the environment that you're in and think about the way that you think and how your opinions of others. Is it an opinion rooted and grounded in the truth about that individual, or is it an
Mm,
opinion that you have based on your childhood or your the way you were raised, or think information, false information you may have received? And
mm,
then once you line that up with what's actually going on in the world and how it's evolving,
mm,
individuals being in certain positions and individuals being able to carry certain titles and educate yourself on that. So the best thing you can do is do your research, educate yourself on the bias that you may or may not believe that you have. For
mm,
myself, I being in education, unfortunately, a lot of people may say that they have a belief that certain students cannot excel. Well,
mm.
they have to take a look at themselves and look at their environment. Is that
Right.
true or is that false? Is this a belief that is actual, something that I can verify to be
Mm,
true? Or is this a
mm,
belief that's grounded in my childhood or something that I've learned from other people? Because that's definitely a myth. All children can grow and learn and evolve and be successful, but it's the
yes.
children that can't are the ones that you limit based on your biases that you have brought into the workplace with you. So
Mm,
spending time with those students, working with them, and learning more about them so you can see the potential in everyone.
mm. Wow. That's a lot to unpack because it
Yes.
applies to so many things today. Um,
Yes.
Someone was actually asking me, and I know it's a little off, but it's not. It's I needed to give her this information. They were asking if you were raised in a racist household, how do you bypass that? And I basically said what you said in a nutshell. But that applies to a lot of stuff. I
Yes.
mean,
Yes.
there's so much to that. We have to do our own homework, basically.
Yes. And I think that we have to be real. Most definitely. You have to do that homework and we have to be honest. I was looking at recently, I guess the most recent thing that's trending on social media, where the police officer pulled over the lady and she had on her robe and she gets out of her car and
Right.
he tells her, why are you wearing that? You're not a, and she says she's a judge. And he
Mhm.
said, you don't look like a judge. And the first
Yes.
thing she said is, well, what do they look like? So we need to educate ourselves and we need to understand that unfortunately, when you're bringing your biases along with you're hurting yourself and you hurting those that are around you.
Yes, exactly. You're definitely hurting those around and yourself because I mean, especially now in 2025, there's so much between social media and it's not always true what you see on social media. We know TikTok, we know this, right?
Mhm.
But you can get a gauge on like that's not right. Like you can just
Exactly.
get a little gauge, just a little gauge
Yeah.
on what's right
Mhm.
and what's not. Like me telling someone that they look like is kind of crazy, right? Because
Mhm.
I know you're on social media, whoever you are out there. I know you are. I know you are. I know
Yes.
you are. I was 50, 80, 10. You on that social media. And with that being said, how do you not know? Like how?
Exactly.
How do
Mhm.
you not know? And how do you not take assessment of yourself?
Ownership.
Say,
Mhm.
ooh, I'm the only one here thinking like that. Wait a minute.
There you
Like
go.
something must be. Let me find out what's up before I speak anymore.
Yes.
Right? And I mean, I
Yeah.
do things too. So I'm not perfect, but
Mhm.
on an overall basis, I'm not saying you have to adapt the same opinion someone has. I'm not saying
No.
that. I'm saying you have to at least personal research to say,
Yes.
let me see, if I say a blanket statement about green flowers, what makes me think that's true? Right?
Exactly.
Because have you seen millions of green flowers? Like, or you saw two and you based it on that.
Yes.
So this can apply to many things, and I apologize. But as a comedian, I'm like, wow, this is a big topic right now. It can be applied for many things. We
Yeah.
was trying to stick to the children, but it applies to some adults I know right now.
That's right. Yes, yes.
Yeah. So Sophia, yeah, I think yeah, she asked, there does seem to be anger, people lashing out and blaming others in this current political and economic environment. Was this anger that may have had all the time subconsciously? I think so.
Mhm.
I see. The point below tips. Yeah, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think, Doc? I think. I mean,
Yes. I believe
you
that.
have anger. Yeah.
Yes,
You have,
yes. That anger has been there and it's just now boiling over with everything that we're encountering. A lot of people are under so much stress right now. So many things are going on in the world. Our food prices, our housing prices, and it's frustrating individuals. And so sometimes when we're in situations, we may have already had some of those issues, and it's on both sides of the aisle. We all
yes.
have things that we need to deal with, but being able to deal with that and have healthy, courageous conversations in a productive manner is what makes the difference instead of
Yeah.
just lashing out on each other. I think we're lacking a lot of kindness for each other. And so it's important that we check on those around us because you never know what people are going through. And just a kind gesture can go a long ways. But I think that that's always been anger and tension that's been there, but different
Yes.
situations has helped it rise to the surface.
Yes. Yes. And there's been permissions given blanketly to
Yes.
oh, I'm just gonna let this loose now, instead of being a
Yeah,
normal human being and saying, I might not want to say that right now.
exactly.
Right. Or I can think it, but I would never say it, right?
Exactly.
it's,
Yes.
it's, I apologize, but this is like I'm just so many things are hitting home to so many
I
things
get
that
it.
happen. But thank you for that. I hope everyone will be mindful of that for many reasons, because it's really needed right now. And you never know what anyone. I don't know what my neighbor's going through. I don't
That's
know.
right.
So
Mhm.
if you can't say nothing kind, at least don't
Yeah,
say nothing at all, right?
exactly. Yes.
Don't heat the fire up because you might get burned in this day and age,
Yes.
so anyway, let's see. So Sophia had one more question. I'm only letting her ask it because we're getting near the time, but I always like to see if someone asks, I like to
Sure.
get them while you're fresh in here. So then in the workplace, what tips would you give to someone who feels that they may be bullied or treated differently because they do not fit in with the clique? Sometimes people may even get PTSD from work experiences. I knew I did when I was working in an office years ago. This is partly why I never went back to working in offices and preferred to work remotely. Any thoughts on that, Doc? Let's
Yeah,
see.
tips for those that feel like they're being bullied. Number one, being able to document everything. Any
Mm,
experience that you're having in the workplace, make sure that you're documenting that work and that experience. Number two, make sure that you're having the conversations with your supervisors so
mhm,
that they understand that you have brought that to their attention. And number three, make sure you put any of your concerns in writing. And number
mm,
four, I would say have those courageous conversations. And if you're not feeling like you're a part of the clique, this way you'll have that documentation to refer back to that I've made you aware that you were treating me differently, or I made you aware that you have been bullying me in this situation. And once you have those conversations, you've made HR aware, make sure that you're doing the best job that you can every day, even utilizing the mental health services that they have in the workplace. That's
mm,
another form of documentation, and continue to show up every day for
mm,
yourself.
mm,
And this will help you to be in a healthier environment. And if
mm,
something was to go awry or there's a major situation, you can refer to your notes. And if that's the case, they will be able to have a track record of what you did. You did your part to make it
right.
a healthier environment. But
Mm,
being able to stand on your truths, knowing this is not acceptable, this is not how you treat people, you're documenting it, you're having
mm,
those communications, you're going to HR, and you're taking care of your mental health will help you to thrive in that work environment.
mm, mm. Well, great advice. I used to work in HR. Definitely a paper trail, always a paper trail.
Yes,
Because, like you
yes.
said, but I understand Sophia too because I've had a job where literally the racism was so deep that it was
Mhm.
actually dangerous. It was dangerous. Like they would put me in danger. I mean, when you're working around prisoners and people, rehab, you can't just have your staff not be on your side. It's a dangerous situation. So I chose to be out of there rather than say and tolerate. I don't do that. I can't. For me, my sanity is everything.
Yes.
So you're driving me insane. You're driving me to the point where I'm starting to say, how can I get this person? you know, that's not a good thing for anybody.
Like,
So time to go. Time to
yes.
check out. or as
Yeah.
they do in church, gotta go,
Mhm.
right? Because you just at some point, I'm just a firm believer. Do not make yourself suffer for anyone,
Correct. Mhm.
right? For anyone. So some
Yes.
jobs are just not worth it. It's just
Yes.
not. So, and with that one, I literally rather sleep on a park bench than to deal with people's own inadequates and race stuff that they got going
Yes.
on. I'm like, you can do the KKK stuff over there. That works over there if you want to do it.
Mhm.
But right here, I can't.
Mhm.
I can't. I just can't. It's just too
Yes.
late in the game for me. All right. So,
Yes.
so
And I get that, and I totally agree. I know how she talks about the freelance workers and individuals. It could be different and difficult, and as they can get rid of you. But like you said, there's always two approaches. You can stand there and you can address it and document it. And but at the same time, we're in some situations, and sometimes you're called to be that change agent. And
mm,
sometimes it may be
true.
difficult to stand, but if you don't stand, it's going to
Mm,
continue. If everyone, whenever they are treating someone that way, if we do not learn to rally together and just pack up our things and leave, how do we expect things to change? And if we go back into our history books, individuals were not willing to stand and tolerate that. And if we don't have that strength and that fortitude, and I'm not saying that's for everyone, if you
right.
know that this is something that you cannot experience, I totally agree with that. It's not worth it to resign and move on. But sometimes God has called you for a purpose. And if
Yes.
He's given you the tools necessary to stand and fight, you're opening the doors for so many other individuals. Had our forefathers not done that for us, you and I wouldn't be even sitting here on Facebook right now live. So you must have that strength, you must have that courage, and you must maintain the flame for the life that you know that you deserve and you desire. But it takes
Mm.
a lot of strength and it takes a lot of courage, but it can be done.
That's powerful stuff. And that's so true when you think of the ancestors, you're like, oh, I cannot be backing out on this one. Because
Exactly.
boy, they really went through it. We're just getting the tip of
Yes.
a little iceberg.
There
It's
you go. Yes.
nothing in comparison. I totally agree. And there have been times I've been that person that stayed and fought the fight,
Mhm.
knowing I didn't even want to be there. But I did it just because a GP of, like you said, we got to set a precedent here because if we
That's right.
don't, then they're just going to walk over everybody else. There are those moments, but sometimes I just don't want to put up and especially at my age now, I'm not putting up
Oh,
the
yeah.
fight. I'm like, you can leave that to the young bucks. Go ahead. I guess. But at my age, I'm like, nah, I don't, nah, it's not worth it. But please, if you're that person in that situation and it's in your heart to fight, then do that because it has to
And
get in
that's
your
the
heart.
basis. Yes. And that's the basis of my book, My Soul is Not for Sale, because I too have encountered those situations. And I've
Yes.
had to stand in the face of adversity and say, I'm not going to compromise who I am. I'm not saying it's not important to be flexible and work with other people, but I had to stand for what was true. And that's a lot of the basis in the book. I give you strategies and tools to help navigate when you're facing those type of challenges. And we also use examples in the book of individuals that were whistleblowers in their companies. Had they not been able to stand and be that whistleblower, we would have had more incidents with our airplanes and things of that nature. So it's important for you to establish what's important for you so you can stand in the face of adversity, be resilient, and know that you're making a difference.
Wow, wow, that's I can't wait to read your book. How do you stay audaciously authentic when the world is constantly pressuring women, especially Black women, to shrink, to soften, or to be less?
Well, the main thing I do is I have 8 strategies that I utilize and I share with others. You don't have to do them in any particular order, but it comes
Okay.
from the acronym MAINTAIN. And
Yes, me.
maintain the flame applies to everything in our lives, in our jobs, in our relationships, in life in general. It's important that you're able to keep that fire lit so you can be your best version of yourself. So the
Mm,
first letter is M. It's mindset. Having a positive mindset and understanding in life, you're going to have a lot of trials and tribulations. But as you go through their trials and tribulations, try to find the good in the situation so that you
mm,
can grow from it. So the first letter is mindset. The next
mm,
letter is A, action. Be willing to take action. So when people want you to play soft, you have to step out and be bold. And you have to understand that you have to be courageous when it comes to your dreams and your aspirations. Take actions on the goals that you have set for yourself. The
Mm,
next letter is I. Be very intentional with this life that we live. Write
mm,
down your vision, make it plain, come up with a plan that you can execute and you can be intentional. The next
mm,
letter is N. Make sure that you nurture yourself. Take care of yourself because we're always pouring into everyone else, and you can't take care of yourself if you're doing everything for everyone else first.
mm,
So
mm,
nurture yourself. The
mm,
next letter is going to be T. You must be tenacious. Grab hold to that goal or that dream or that vision, whether or not you fit in or not. This is something that's important to you. So if it's important to you, you hold on to it with everything in your being and
mm,
refuse to quit until you make that a reality. And then the
mm.
next letter is A, being authentic, showing up as your genuine, authentic self, not being concerned about how people judge you, what neighborhood you live in, what car you drive. You must be okay with yourself. When you
Mm,
look in the mirror, you need to be familiar with the person that's looking back at you, and you need to be able to be proud of that individual. The
mm,
next letter is I. Have integrity in everything that you do and refuse to compromise. The integrity inside of you that stands up and you fight for the things that have become important to you. And then the
mm,
last letter is N, non negotiables. Make sure that you come up with your non negotiables so that you can stand on your truth and design the life that you desire.
mm. Non-negotiables. Oh, so you can stand there. Wait, non-negotiables. So you can stand on your. I'm typing as we speak. Sorry. Non-negotiable. I like this. I like this. I'm making sure somebody gets this. Non-negotiables. I'll just put it like that, and then you guys know you can always hit me up, and I can always lead you to the site for sure. But thank you. Yeah, I was going to ask you about maintain, but you got it. You got it too early for me. You got it. I
Oh,
appreciate that. It's okay. I was going to get there. What do you want viewers to take away from My Soul Is Not for Sale?
I want viewers to take away that you can be resilient and you have to push through the trials and tribulations that you're going through and understand that, yes, we're going to have tough times in life, but the most important part is every situation you're in has an expiration date. So
Mm,
it may be tough right now, but continue to move forward and look for that silver lining and know that you will come out on the other side and be audaciously authentic.
that's it.
Be okay being yourself. If you're an introvert, if you're an extrovert, if you want to have purple hair and other people around you are not doing that, if it
Mm,
brings you joy, you need to understand we have one life. And I watched this one documentary that I loved where they said that you need to live full and
mm,
die empty. So put it
mm.
all out there, put it on the table, and live a
That-
life of no regrets.
wow. Live full and die empty. That's fabulous.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
like that.
I love it.
You're like a
Yes.
big old fat cat. I'll do it. This is great. That's great.
Yes.
I love that. Wow. And where can we find you? Where can people find you?
Well, you can go to my website. I'm at www.maintaintheflame.net, all one word. And I'm located on Instagram and Facebook, and it's still Maintain the Flame, just one word.
Okay. Maintain the flame like that. .net.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. So you guys can find her on a social media to maintain the flame. Okay. Wow. So I appreciate you so much. As we get ready to say goodbye, I can't believe time just goes so quick. We thank you so much for taking the time. And to our viewers, where you at? Let's see who's in there. Oh, thank you. Okay, good. Yeah, please follow Dr. Nicole, Maintain the Flame. And you see her website that has everything in it that you need to know where the book is. If you can't remember, just hit me up. I'll tell you where it's at. So thank you guys for witnessing this conversation. Protect your time, protect your truth. Dr. Bradford leaves us with a truth we cannot unhear. Okay. Your soul is never for sale.
That's right.
From rejecting labels to reclaiming time, her story is a blueprint for audacious authenticity and unapologetic purpose. Let this be your reminder: no matter where you started, you are worthy, you are powerful, and you are never alone on this path back to yourself. I appreciate you guys for watching. And thank you, Sophia. I appreciate you. Thank you, Norma.
Thank
I see you out there, Tony, and a few others. I can't see you on YouTube. Sorry, but thank you for checking us out. And yeah, guys, if you need to know anything about the website, where to find the book, do like usual. Hit me up. I'll tell you. Okay, so I appreciate you. And Dr. Nicole, again, we thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anytime you have something to promote, we'd love to have you back.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. This was great.
All right, hang out with me 1 second while I say goodbye to everybody. Bye, everybody. We'll see you next Sunday, and hang out with me one moment. All right.